Hello YouTube, Emmanuel here. You're welcome to my channel eLearn Tech Skills. And on this channel is all about introducing you into tech. If you are a beginner developer, intermediate level or advanced developer, this is the right channel for you to learn everything you need to get started. I teach on this channel Python programming, JavaScript programming, PHP, C Sharp. I take you from zero level to advanced level, and I also help you use these languages to build applications that works. So if this is the first time you are getting to my channel, please subscribe, click that red button, subscribe, like my video and share so that more people can benefit from this video. You're welcome back to the Python basic class, and in today's class I'm going to be talking about data structure in Python. Under that data structure we're going to be talking about list, tuple, set and dictionaries in Python. Alright, so and why are these things so important? In the previous classes I've explained how you can actually store values in a variable, and variable only can take in one particular value. You can either store a string or a float or an integer, a boolean in a variable. However, if we are talking about data structure or structured data like lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries, they can store multiple data types. For instance, let's say I have name, let's say names. So this time around, I want names of different people. I want to be able to store names of different people. So to do that, a list uses angular bracket like this one. So you have to have this type of bracket to wrap a list, and because the names I want to be putting in are strings, so I can say John, I can have Jake, I can have Luke. Right, so each of these names are elements within this list. So here I can print out the list, print names, and in here I want to be able to run the code. And remember, in the last class I mentioned the fact that if you want to run your Python code within Visual Studio Code, you need to say Python space, then the name of the file that you are running it within. Alright, so in this case, I'm going to say Python space app.py. So once I press enter, you can see I have the members, John, Jake, and Luke. Alright, so we can also check the data type of this variable by saying print, then type, and then I can put the names variable. So if I run the code again, I'm going to get the type to be a list. So this is one way to make a list in Python, and yes, this is one huge way to make a list. You can as well convert something to a list. For instance, let's say name, and I set it to be list, and I set it to be maybe Sunday. So I can print name here. So if I print this now, you see that Sunday, I put in the whole word Sunday, but it actually splitted the characters in the string. So the implication is I've typecasted. That is what this is called. So I've converted this word Sunday to a list. So this is how you will make a list in Python. Another good thing you need to know is the concept we call list slicing. So let's say, for example, I have num and I set it equals to some numbers. Alright, so number 1 to 8. The cool thing is that in all programming languages, the computer counts from zero. So that means the first item is going to be zero. So if you look at it from here, you see that the one here is going to be zero in the eyes of the computer. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 5 items. So if that's what I want, I can say num, then put this bracket. So if I want to get the values from 0 to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that means 1 to 5. I'm going to say 0, then full colon 4. So what it will do is it will print out elements from 0 to 5. So because it's counting from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5 items. So and I'm going to wrap it inside a print statement. So if I do that, I'm going to get, the last element is actually not going to be printed. That's what really happened there. So if I actually want the 5, I'm going to put the 5th item here. So it's not going to print the 6th item. So that's going to be the ending. So let's print that again. You can see, yes. So another way of printing the whole thing is to actually put empty here and empty here. It's going to know that what you meant is start from the beginning and end at the end. So let's have that done. So you can see printed from 1 to 8. That's exactly what we have in the list. Another way to work around this is, let's say I want to print only the last item. Now, as much as we have the positive indexing, so what we call this is called Python indexing. So Python index starts from 0. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 7. So negative indexing now says the last element is going to be -1 and the first element will be minus of the count. So that's going to be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. Okay, let's check this out. -1. Okay, so -1 only printed the last element because that's the last element, right? So what if I put -8 here? Let's see what that is going to print out. It didn't print anything because we don't have a starting point. So basically, if you look around here, what we are doing really is to have a start and an ending. All right. So, and as much as we have positive and negative indexing. I could have -5 here. -5 is going to be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. This is 4. So let's see what that is going to be. And you can see it printed 4, just the way we predicted. So that's the way list indexing works in Python. Now, there are two major functions, because in Python we have what we call functions. And functions are reusable code. It allows you to write some snippet of code and you're able to reuse it within your code later on. So that way you are practicing the dry methodology in programming, which is don't repeat yourself. It's an acronym for don't repeat yourself. Let me try type that. Dry, don't repeat yourself. So that's what the acronym dry means. So now Python has some built-in functions for different purposes. So now let's say I want to add a new element to a list. Say for instance, I have x equals to this new list. All right. So let's say I want to add new member. I can say x dot append. Let's say append. What's the last element here? 4. Append 5. Sorry, meant append 5. So if we print X now, it's going to contain 5. And you can see now that X now contains 5, which is pretty cool. Another thing we can do is to also extend the list. So I have X, I can also have Y, and I set it to some list. So I could say, okay, I think I need to remove that comma. So let's see. So I can extend, I can say X dot extend Y. So what I'm saying is that this list should be extended by these other numbers. Alright, so let's see what that looks like. If I now say print X, it should contain the content of Y now. And take a look at that. You see now that we have the X and we also have the content of Y. I mean extended, it's been added to it, which is, pretty cool. All right, another data type we have in Python is the tuple. So to make a tuple, we could also have, tuple is also identical to list except the bracket type. So, and if you look at the bracket type, I could have items like this. So I could print, that's not name, so let me just call it nums. So I can print nums, comma, type nums. So this is going to show us the content of nums and also show us the data type of nums. So if you take a look at that, you see we have the content of nums and we also see that the nums is a tuple. So that's basically it for tuple. And tuple has its own built-in functions. The built-in functions that works for lists are not the same that works for tuple in Python. So you have to have that in your mind. So yeah, we can count and we can also index, index tuple. So we can say you can pass a function to see the number of occurrence of a particular value. So let's say I have 3 repeated on purpose and maybe 2 repeated as well. So if I do this, this is what is going to happen. It's going to tell us how many occurrence of 3 appears in this tuple. And you can see it's telling me there are, so this is saying that there are 6 instances of 3 in this code. All right. The next data type I want to talk about here is set. All right, so set also looks typical to list and tuple except the bracket type and the fact that set is immutable. That means set cannot be changed and it has to be orderly and there cannot be repetition. So this is what I mean. Let's say we have num and then we set it to 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. All right. So if I print out this num, the problem here is this repetition. It's going to get rid of all the repetition and print out only unique numbers. So if you look at this, you see there's no repetition of 1. There's just 1, 1, and 2 is 1, 3 is 1. So that's one of those things you want to also make sure you take care of. In sets items cannot be repeated, So items cannot be repeated, they have to be unique every single time. So and if you take a look at this, there's repetition here, but the output doesn't show it. So that's one important thing. And you cannot add an item. You cannot add item, it's like a constant. So you cannot add item to an existing set. That's the way it is. Alright, so the next one I want to talk about is dictionary. Dictionary in Python. So now we've been dealing with data types that has index. They are also key and value pair, but the keys are predefined for us. And this is what I mean. By default, the first element in a list is the of index of 0, and then followed by the next index of 1, the index of 2, and to the end of the list, or to the end of the set, or to the end of the tuple. But in dictionary allows you to create the key and the value. So that's why we call it a key and value pair. So you can call it a multi-dimensional array in some other programming languages. So let's do an example just so you have an idea. Let's say person. So I'm going to say maybe name. So name, let's say June, age, let's set age to maybe 24, color to black, black. Let me redo. Okay, so it's expecting me to code the age, whereas I didn't code this. Alright, so this time around it's going to work. And you can see we have name June, age is 24, the color is black. Alright. So you can see this is a key and value pair kind of data structure. So these are structured data type.